Hi everyone, welcome to day 4. I'm just going to pop the rope on while I've got him here. So I'm just giving Mum her dinner. She's got his foot on there, so I'm going to take that opportunity to ask him to lift that leg. That's a boy, boy. Spin him around here. Out of the bucket down there. Good boy. Good man. So we're going to do a neck yield here. Perfect. We've even got a cross of the front foot, which is fabulous. Alright, so what we're going to work on today is we're going to halter him. I've given Freya her dinner because I'm going to put a halter on him, and I don't want him, you know, taking off, or her taking off crazily chasing the other horses away while he's got a halter on. So I just gave her a feed to keep her a little happy today. So I'm going to introduce the halter again. Remember, he's had this on his face, but not literally, or over his face, but not literally on his face. So we go through the same process again. I want him to play with that and be okay with me brushing his face with it, and it's sitting over his face. You right, girl? And then I'm going to introduce it over his nose. So I'm going to just let my wrap go here for a second. And I'm going to pop it on his face. Now, if at any time he doesn't want to accept that, I'm just going to wait till he relaxes and then take it off. But if he accepts it, then that's great. I'm going to go ahead and pop it on his face. He just backed off that pressure then of that halter, so that's good. So I'm just going to pop it on there. He's got it in his mouth, so I'm just going to wait for him to drop it. Good job. Now, again, I'm not worried about him putting it in his mouth. I want him to explore things. It can create a habit of chewing. I'll fix that later. All right, I want him to be really pleasant, this to be a really pleasant experience for him, so, when he's being haltered up. So I'm just going to now tie this on. I'll just step back with him. Again, I'm not at any stage pulling on this halter. Just going to take that off and step him forward again. Good boy. Good man. He's just having a good cough there. So I'll pop that on his face. Now, he's just created a habit, and that's a really good thing for you guys to see. So he's got a habit of when I pop that over his face, he's going to back up. So I'm going to pop my foal wrap back on. And I'm going to put a little tiny knot in my foal wrap, but, oh, sorry, I'm out of screen. I'll come forward with him here. Hey, little man. Come forward. Good boy. It's a little tiny knot, but I'm going to be able to pull that string at any time, so if he goes to step away or run, I'm going to quickly get it off him. Not that that will do him any damage in the short term. It's nice and it's nicely placed around his body, so it wouldn't bother him. All right, so I'm just waiting for him to settle here. Again, pressure on, off, on, off, till he understands that he's got to stand there. He's just having a little play with Luna there. Good boy. All right, so I'm going to pop that over his head again, over his face again. Good. Now when he steps back this time, I'm going to ask him to step forward back into it. There. So that stepping back with the halter on doesn't become a habit. Good boy. Now he's still, I'm going to take that off. All right. I want to teach my foal every time he does something right, that whatever the issue, whatever training is, stops. Take it out of his mouth. Good boy. Oh, Mum's still got a cough. Pop it over his nose. Here we go. If he steps back, I ask him to step forward again. There, and release. Forward, and release. Forward. There is my still foal, so there I take it off. All right. Hey, Mama. Good girl, good boy. Pop it over his face again. And that time he didn't step back, but Mum's run away, so I'm just going to quickly undo my foal wrap. Oh no, she's come back. Good girl. Good girl. Just going to let him go. There we go. Just because Mum stepped away and she gave him a little nicker there. So again, you know, we're working on his and her timeline here. She's got a little bit of a cough. She's obviously swallowed a little bit too much of that feed at once. And so she's got the poos and walked away. That's fine. I'll just go back in shortly. So because he ran after her then, he's now having his, I'm just going to spin the video around so you can see what's pretty standard with foals. After they get a little bit of a fright of any sort or a little bit of stress of any sort, they'll always go and suckle. And remember that I've said that before. So he's gone straight back onto her udder and had a bit of a suckle because he had a little bit of a worry there. So did you see that even though I was in the middle of something, I undid him and let him go. Again, I don't want him to feel trapped or relate that stress to me. So I'm going to just wait till he has a drink here. I'm going to reposition my camera and hopefully we'll have another go at popping that halter on. You're a good girl. It's a beautiful shot. She's such a lovely mare. So again, I'm going to wait. Good girl. I'm going to wait for him to come to me. I'm not going to go to him again. If I have to turn the video off to reset, then that's fine. We're doing this live, so I'm not going to set anything up. I'm not going to put yards up. I'm not going to restrain, you know, either of them in order to make this happen. We're just going to have to do it the way it works out. Patience is a virtue when you're working with foals and children or horses of any type or animals of any type. Hey, little man. It's play mode. It's drink mode. And that's one of the really nice things about being able to, you know, show you this. You get to see the natural interaction of a mare and foal. It's one of the it's so important to me to work with horses being the way that they are, because so many times I work with horses that are so fearful about making a mistake, or they're not allowed to have their own opinion, or they're scared of making a decision. And I don't really never want that to happen to any of my horses. So I always work with them with a whole lot of patience and on their timeline. Now, in saying that, when you've got horses that have got bad habits, we want to train those habits out pretty quick, because we don't want to, if you allow things to stay in there while you're training, you're going to reinforce it and make it okay for the horse. But if I've got, if I'm working, with an unhandled horse of any type, or a really scared horse, not a dangerous horse, not a horse that's had bad manners put into it, but a horse that's genuinely scared because it's had a bad experience, then that one definitely becomes a slow process. I will always take the time it takes to help that horse out. While he's having a suck there, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about, now we're all the way into video 4, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about, why I do what I do with the horses. And I've been around horses now all my life. I grew up having second-hand horses, my sister's horses, and I really knew absolutely nothing. I could ride, I could get on and ride just about anything, but it didn't mean I was very good with horses. I was, I could jump and do all the crazy things that teenagers do, but I wasn't particularly good with horses. Fast forward a few years, and when I was in my early 20s, I was given a horse that nobody else could ride, and I figured, oh, I'll be right, I can ride anything. And this is after about a break of about 6 or 7 years out of horses altogether, while I was going through the teenage years and schooling and all that sort of thing. And I got this mare that nobody else could ride, and I was given her because I said I'll take her, I can do something with her, and surprise, surprise, I couldn't. I had no idea what I was doing, and I really couldn't get anywhere with her. So I went looking for something that was a whole lot different. I saw what was going on at pony clubs and, you know, your standard riding, and I really wasn't too keen about the whole forcing things to happen, which you see, you know, that's fairly common, or was back then. And so I went looking for something different, and that's when I discovered the Pirelli method. And I learnt, you know, how to get the buck out of my horse, how to start again from scratch, and really start to build a relationship. And I followed the Pirelli method for a lot of years, and then I started to diversify and see that it could be even softer again. And I'm not putting the Pirelli method down, because everything that I learnt comes from there. But I taken it a whole lot softer, and then a few years later I was introduced into mindset work and understanding how the brain works. And what that introduced to me is how we actually communicate non-verbally, and how horses communicate non-verbally. And I found this extremely fascinating, that horses and animals actually communicate with us via pictures, and we do as well. So if I'm thinking of something that I'm scared of, for instance, I'm about to go over a jump, and the image I've got in my mind is I don't want to fall off, then that's the image I'm actually portraying to the horse. So we create a lot of our own issues, especially when we have fear or anxiety around horses. We create a lot of our own issues with our horses by sending them a picture of something we actually don't want. And that's where I changed a whole lot about what I do with horses. Of course, she's going to go back to the feed now, so I'll just follow her along. Yeah, I changed a whole lot about what I was doing with horses because of what I learned about non-verbal communication. And now everything I do with horses is about communicating with them mentally, non-verbally, that is with pictures and images, before I actually ask a horse to do something. So one of the downfalls of that is horses can preempt you a little bit, and a lot of people say, oh no, he just did it because he thought you were going to do it, and I don't actually see anything wrong with that. The only problem we have with that is that we're not ready, so we feel like the horse is sort of a bit smarter than us and has outsmarted us a little bit, but that's not a bad thing. And I tell that to people all the time. If you're setting your horse up for something and they do it before you want it, please don't rouse on them, and please don't see them as being smart Alex, because you know, it's a good thing that they, I don't know whether you guys can see the big black love heart on his butt. It's a good thing that they can read our minds. The bad thing about them reading our minds is that we have to control what we think, and that's not always easy to do. Anyway, so the little guy's back. I'm just going to pop the wrap back on him and see if I can get him back here and pop his halter on again. Hi, little man. Ask him to yield towards me here. The pressure is extremely light and he's yielding beautifully. Stop there. Whoop. Loves the camera. I'm just going to swap him behind him. I step behind a foal all the time because when I'm riding him later on when he grows up, I'm actually behind his vision, and that's going to get him used to and fairly confident with me being behind him in most stages. All right, foal wrap is back on, sort of. There we go. Hey, little man. Good boy. The only problem with rope halters is you have to organise them. He's come around and popped that on his face into his mouth already, which is fantastic. Step back again. I'm going to ask him to step forward. There, good boy. Good man. Put his face in it. Pop his face in it. There we go, he steps back, I ask him to step forward, wait till he's still, step forward, forward, there, wait for patience, stillness, drop it off his face. Good boy. Good boy. Here we go. Pop it back on. Good. Lots still of that time. Forward. So he wants to just move about. He's not necessarily avoiding that. He's just wanting to move and play with it. So I'm just going to teach him. He doesn't have to move with that on. There we go. Now, what you'll see there is a lick of the lips. Remember I talked earlier, is they lick and chew when they learn things. So he's just learned that, and it's really cool to see a foal licking and chewing when they've just learnt something new. So I'm going to pop that back on. Ask him forward and over. Good boy. Don't lean on me. Pop that back on his face. Oh, lost him. And I lost my bum rope. Down here. At least he's easy to handle. Step him forward. Good boy. Right there. Good boy. Helps if you put the brakes on in your head. There we go. Just wrap that round again. On his face. Stepping back. So you can see how persistent they are and how persistent we need to be. He's just going, what is this on my head? There we go. There we have stillness. Let's see if I can leave it on a little bit longer this time. This halter's a little bit big for him, but it's okay because he's going to grow really quickly, and I'm not popping it on him yet now anyway. So what I'm going to do now, when he starts to get a little stiller, good boy, is I'm actually going to use the halter, if I can, to ask him to come around. There we go. Good boy. Good man. Well done. And it's popped off, and we pop it back on. So again, I'm going to ask the halter. It's not done up. Ask him to yield off the feel. If he goes backwards, I bring him forward. Good boy. Ask him to yield off the feel. Just his face. There, beautiful. I'm going to take that off now. She's calling him. Again, I'll let him go. I just drop that under that rope and just drop it. It all comes off. So twice there, and I'm not sure how well, you know, you could see that happen. You have to be over the top to see how well he yields. But twice there, I asked him to come with the halter, and both times he was super light and came with it straight away. So I'm just going to give him a 10-minute break now because he's almost ready to lay down, and we'll come back and I'm going to do that exact same thing again and get him moving with the halter. What you've seen there, believe it or not, is as much preparation as they need to be taught to lead off the halter. Because he's not pulling back, he's not worried about it, and he follows that feel, he'll stay within the halter when we pop a rope on, and it'll be so much easier for him. So when I come back, I want to see if I can tie the halter on and make sure it's nice and tight, not as in not tight, but not loose on his face, and see if we can start getting him yielding. I'm going to let him have a little play with it and run around with it on his face and see if he can get used to it. So he's going to be real close to sleeping now, so I'll see if I can sneak in and get a lay down. I'm going to just stop and start the video so we don't have too long a video recording. But I'm stopping and starting straight up. Alright, Mum's managed to take him for an enormous walk all the way over the other side of the paddock. Again, patience is a virtue. It can get a little frustrating. He stepped into me. Mum's walked away being a pain in the neck, so I'm going to keep the foal wrap on him. Alright, we're back. Sorry about that. Didn't matter anyway, it was a noisy car going past. So he started to back up a lot, and I didn't have my bum rope on, so I've got my bum rope on now. Mum's just here, so he can stay in frame with us now to get this little example done. And he's getting pretty close to lay down time, so like I did in that other video, I'll try and set it up today so that we actually get another opportunity to pop in the voice cue. So he's got another horse annoying us here. Come on, off you go. Little pirouette there. Little boy. He's so good, so clever. Good boy. All right. So we're just going to see if we can get this. He's a little fidgety. Shows you, they're not always easy to work with. He's a little fidgety. Pop that halter on his face again. Get rid of the horse behind me. Make sure I've got that bum rope on. Good boy. Just let him fidget with that till he can stand still. Good boy. And he's starting to get used to that on his face. Oh, it's off his face again. Just making sure I'm still in frame here. Nice little yield towards me there. Halter on his face again. Good boy. See if I can get him to step across. Beautiful, good boy. And this time towards me. Good boy. He's staying really, really light within that halter, which is fabulous. There we go, good boy. I'm going to take that off there, that was really good. Now, he's done a really nice job of that, and I'm super happy with it. I did say I was going to pop it on him, but I've changed my mind, and we are all capable of that because he did such a nice job of yielding. I'm going to now wait for him to lay down. So again, we have to be patient. Just get him off my foot there. There, good boy. Again, we have to be patient, so I'm going to now start thinking about the laying down process. So I'm sending him a picture of him laying down. It's close to the time that he's due to. Again, I'm not attached to whether I get it or not, and this is the most important thing with this sort of training. When we're trying to put a cue into something that they naturally do, if it doesn't work, he's picking the halter up, he's eating grass. If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. If I've timed it badly and he's more likely to want to play than anything else, then that's my bad, and I have to accept that. And I'm just giving this a go, just to see, because he's been up for quite a long time, he should be just about due, but if he's not, that's okay. Again, patience is what we need. I'm just going to stop there because that was really cute. I'm sure you could see it on the video, but he was actually reaching right down and picking grass. He hasn't got any teeth yet. I'll just spin that around. You can see he's having a drink now. He hasn't got any teeth yet, but that was really cute. He was pulling grass up and sort of chewing on it, mimicking Mum exactly because he was right near her head. And this is what we have to remember, is they're learning from their mum. So if we interrupt that you know, at any time, you're going to end up with a horse that sort of holds a grudge against you because it's a natural inclination to want to copy their mum. So I made a choice there to pull back and not ask for the lay down, and that's fine. That's going to happen to us 1,000 times over, and we have to be okay with it. And we have to celebrate the ones we do get. I've had I think 4 times now where I've timed it perfectly, where it's literally taken a minute or 2 to lay down. One of them we got on camera, the others were just when I was holding him for the mare and the vet check. All 3 of them, because he'd been standing up for ages and the mare was standing in one spot, it was perfectly timed. So again, play it by ear, be patient. I'm going to get a slightly smaller halter. I'm not quite happy with tying this halter on, it's a little bit big. So I'm going to get a slightly smaller halter for him tomorrow, and you're going to see the whole leaving the halter on and starting to ask him to yield to that pressure, which he did beautifully today. And this is why I do this foal course, because I want you to understand foals learn instantaneously. So the moment he's learnt to pull back on that, you know, I've broken that whole staying within the halter thing. So I don't want that to happen. I want him always to be light in that halter. If I push it too far, if I'm impatient, if I want more from him, then that's more likely to happen. If I get it perfectly, I'm just asking his head across and he's coming without any weight on that halter, I have to leave it at that. And I know it's a really hard thing to do, but it's trained in now and I don't want to untrain it. So yeah, so be patient, do a little bit, be happy with it, move on. And here's Miss Luna coming in for kisses. Hello darling, you're not the star attraction anymore. So yeah guys, that's seriously as much as I'm going to do today, because we've gotten a really nice acceptance of that halter. He's coming off it really nicely. He's staying with me. There's nothing more than I can ask for. It looks a lot like yesterday, it's just advanced a little tiny bit. We're getting to a point in this training where it's enough, where we don't have to do any more than that with him. It's already in there. Hi, Miss Luna. It's already in there, so I don't have to worry about doing more of it. All right, you can see him spreading his legs there and trying to eat the grass at 4 days old. That's really cute. Thank you guys. This is day 4 and we will see you tomorrow for day 5. I know it's a 5-day training course, but I'm actually throwing in an extra day 6 so that you guys can see when and I might actually use Luna for the example horse when we are working with a horse that's a bit bigger and hasn't had any training, what we're going to look for, just so you have, if you have some difficulties, and there he goes lying down, I knew it was pretty close. If you're having difficulties with your foal at home or a bigger horse at home, I'll just show you some tricks. We're going to add that to the end of the course for you guys. So see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us again. We're back again, and I just had another opportunity. I left my ropes, I had one mope over my arm, and he came up really happily. And I wanted to show you, when I'm not training him, what it looks like. So he came up and had a really nice body scratch. So I was scratching his neck. One of his favourite things is come and put his head here and have a scratch on both sides of the neck. So what I want to show you is just a little snippet of when I'm doing nothing with him, when I'm just bonding with him and giving him a scratch and enjoying his time. I still do things with him. So I still have him yielding away from me. You'll see, with no ropes or anything on him, I take the opportunity to pick all 4 feet up again, and you can see how beautifully he responded to that. Again, I'm not grabbing hold of those feet. I just want him to pick them up, take the weight off them, and that's it. But the times that I spend when I don't train him are still training times. It's still important that he can't push on me, that I yield him here and there a little bit, and I get him to come to me for the scratches. So he's in the middle of a scratch, I'll stop, step back, he'll come to me, get another scratch. And that's a little bit of starter liberty work. So I just wanted to show you this. I'm going to play it now. I've recorded it earlier, but I'm going to play it now. I just wanted an intro. So this is the intro to just me hanging with them and having a little scratch. Enjoy. See you tomorrow, guys. boy.